Why do you come?
I come to be among other writers.
And it's been a massive, massive eye-opener and a good reason to try and get my brain going again.
Hello, my name's John. I facilitate the Ilkley Champions writing group at Ilkley Library every week.
And it's been an inspiration to work with these people.
And it is brilliant.
Looking out of the car window at the clapboard houses that appeared as if from a familiar film, Mrs. Jackson oohed and ahed at every turn, taking in the wonderful colours of the fall trees, which took her breath away. Every garden and house was trimmed with Halloween decorations. "Oh, do stop the car," cried Mrs. Jackson. "I know it's getting dusk, but look at that one with the life-size figures and skeletons. I must take a photo." Mr. Jackson reluctantly stopped the car and his wife grabbed the camera. A man and woman came out of the front door and smiled. "Do come into the garden and take some photos." "Well, kind," said Mrs. Jackson. "Thank you so much." "You're English," said the man. "Welcome to Halloween in New England." "Do come in and have some mulled wine or coffee," said his wife. Mr. and Mrs. Jackson went happily up the steps aglow with pumpkins. "What a wonderful opportunity to see inside one of these beautiful houses," thought Mrs. Jackson. "Wait till I tell my friends at home." Candles flickered throughout the room, casting shadows. "Do have some pecan pie," said the hostess. Mr. Jackson thought, what a charming couple. "Well," remarked Mrs. Jackson, "it's been lovely, but we must get back to our hotel." "Oh, please don't go," their host said, smiling at them both. A large knife flashed in the candlelight. "We need some more figures for the garden next year."
I only met her that evening. She was quite wonderful, too wonderful for me, that was for sure. But here we were in a taxi heading for... where? I only got to see that part of the invitation that said, "and afterwards at." I only got to see the invitation because it fell out of her handbag, or rather it was knocked out of her handbag by some drunken idiot who seemed to think he had the right to wrap his arms around her. I managed to stop all that, picked up her bag, saw the invitation. "Would you like to come?" she said. "Why?" I thought. Perhaps she was worried someone else might try to grab her. I would be her bodyguard. As the taxi turned into the long driveway, I wondered why she didn't already have an escort. But did I care? I was here, wherever here was.
Ferrybridge. Why? They still asked, even as the heroic monument fell. They had all gathered in the faintly pink dawn, not intimidated by the supposedly secret date and hour. They were linked by their own underground network, united in sorrow and overwhelming feelings of helplessness. After the dust settled, they gazed around, smiled vaguely at each other, and went home.
It was the best holiday I'd ever had, until the inevitable. Even the inevitable can be a shock when it knocks on your door, and all the more shocking when violence visits your idyll. It's all that keeps me going now in this room with no view, with nothing except what is inside me. That's you, everything. I have everything I need. I only wish I could tell you. You, with me, those idyllic days you weren't to know would be our last. The only thing I never told you. The blank, brutal walls are alive with my projections. I had hoped one day to take you to an Odeon or Gaumont. So many things I had hoped. Now all we have is the past. The winding lane where you stopped to pick summer fruits, the lark overhead, how you lost your hat in the breeze and it landed on a scarecrow. The picnic you made, sandwiches and apples, elderflower juice and yet more apples, as if we'd raided every tree in Kent. The day we cycled down the lane to the Pebble Beach, you laughing so merrily I feared you'd forget to pedal, and the bicycle, with no forward motion, would simply fall to one side. I laughed as well as I could. By that time the summons was already in my pocket. I knew the day would come when you would fall and I wouldn't be there. Even on the Kentish beach.
Remembrance. The doctor says your baby is not alive. Yeah, I know, but it's the missus I'm worried about now. The Simpsons play on the TV in the side room, but you don't laugh. Instead, the missus lets out a wail that no actress can reproduce, no cliche-ridden bullshit will let you hear, no poetic crap about darkness or pretendy metaphor nonsense. The fact is that it's not what you think, losing a child. Yeah, you hang on to each other, and yeah, there's anger, but there's more fear. Fear that not being kicked by that ball of hope when you're spooned in bed will cut the thread. The umbilical of kindness that makes cups of tea, shares jokes, holds hands in the street. And no, you are not the same. When later you lay in bed, hand on her belly, wishing that fart was a moving finger, a flickering eye, a thought. And you do despise the sympathy, the well-meaning advice, the imposition of grief, the morons who say, "Oh, how dreadful! Oh, I can't imagine. You have to keep talking. Fuck off!" And then there's the coffin in the chapel of rest and the instruction not to open it because the veins are too small for the formaldehyde and you won't like to remember what you see. Which will not be that child that was born dead and lay in perfect stillness on the blanket your missus crocheted with the rattle you bought in an idle moment of expectation. It will not be the child with pink fingers, a scratch mark under the eye that you imagine was done when waking from sleep in the womb and not when dying. Those bowed rose lips, thinning and darkening, from which no sound ever came in the few hours you spend together. That child who you dress in a white Sunday dress with white tights and white shoes and tended with all respect and all duty in death because you couldn't in life. And so you do what you're told, the coffin stays shut, and you kiss it and embrace the sharp edges. And then a day or so later, tears rolling down your face, you lift it from the hearse, it don't even cover the spare wheel, and carry it into the chapel in front of your family and friends, and cry and hold on to each other. And then the little white box slides through the curtain and you get ashes in a plastic pot.
This is just a small poem called Butterfly Wings. There was a time, a long time ago, when I really believed I could fly. As I played with the butterflies, they would rest on my hand, and the marks on their wings were ever so grand. I watched their wings as they fluttered in the sun. Where are my wings? I want to have fun. Flutter flap, flutter flap.
And leaving his cosy terraced house with unwelcome visitor and riding down Dorrington Road, aiming for the station. The hard bit was abandoning his house, his security and his car. He who travels light travels fastest, he told himself. Putting aside all morals, Neil moved John's jacket from the dining chair where it hung, pausing to remove the money from the pocket where John had got money by selling his car earlier in the day at the Morecambe branch of Bangers for cash. After all, he would need the money more than his brother. Neil let himself out of his palace. Watch out, there's a bloody big puddle in the footway there. If it's still there when I get back, I will report it to the council. And I must stop talking to myself. But I need someone intelligent to talk to, he said. Down the slopes.
And the next candidate Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a great turnout from the people of Stirling. I'd like first to mention the churches together for organising this hustings meeting and thank them. It's for all the local general election candidates, including myself. As you know, I'm standing as an independent. I'm particularly grateful to have a chance to speak to you in person, as much of what has been reported about me has, shall we say, been inaccurate, not to say offensive. I may well have a brass neck, but I hope you'll prove your sterling worth and hear me out. So, what do I stand for, and what's the fuss been about? I've thought about this issue for many years, and having been a great supporter of the NHS initially, I've come to the conclusion that more than half of NHS expenditure is a mistake. Generally speaking, I believe that attempting to cure people with serious illnesses is a waste of time, money and effort. Furthermore, I would go as far as to say it is contrary to life's purpose for us. Nature has a way of weeding out the weak, and illness is it. And I have come to believe in nature's wisdom in this.
Modelled on the famous speech in Hamlet, and it's called To Write or Not to Write. Whether it is better in the mind to suffer the knowing comments of the literati, the class which chatters, eager to display their learning, leavened by the common touch, or should the finished scripts lie hidden, unnoticed in a bureau drawer, to hide, deleted, and no longer saved within the bank of data safely stored, to hide, forgotten in pursuit of goals so different and without the risks a writer fears. Those fears, so deeply felt, the fear of revelation of the soul and of exposure to uncaring eyes, of words that may reveal the hidden griefs which shape our moods and discontent, the fear that we may overreach our skills, lays bare the threads in which we clothe ourselves.
Perfect day. What is a perfect day? Is it when I awake, stretch out and say, I like my life? Or is it when the sun shines and one sees the dust dancing in shafts of golden light? Or is it when one treads leaden feet through seeming endless hard knocks and strife, and when exhausted see the end of toil, or a burden lifted so your heart takes flight? Perhaps it is when one chases dreams, through long hard work achieve one's goal in life, with exultation realise your aim is within your grasp, though what a fight. Or is it in the smile of friends and family, the love of parent, child, husband, wife, the knowledge that one is loved and loves, that gives you peace as eyelids close at night? Is it harmony in the ability to see joy, or strength to go on when it's cut as by a knife, or take the knocks because you know inside, after darkness comes light? Or is that trite? A perfect day, a day of rest, just to be, no restless pondering on the meaning of my life, just grateful acceptance, do the best I can, learn to be kinder to me and every other night.
To survive survival for the basic brain, it is far from easy. That grey matter, that 1.4 kilogram sponge that defines you, serves souls for you, is you. It's a large tiring journey to travel all roads that connect the heart, soul and head. I am a coward. When roadworks stopped clarity, trust, honesty, when I couldn't quite find quorum, I'd hide under my blankets of cold, damp cowardice. Default, defaults, default, defeat.
When you like.
A short story called Holiday. As Keats said, season of mists and yellow fruitfulness. It was always the same at the end of the summer holidays. The building excitement as we walked down the hill to get the grubby train to school. Always managing to be 10 or 15 minutes early on the first day to catch up with pals not seen for a few weeks, and maybe find an unsuspecting newcomer willing to join us on our coming rail journeys. The pristine stainless blazers and skirts felt stiff and were always too big, while the knee-length socks were truly white on that first day. The carefully chosen pens and pencils in their shiny case hailed a new beginning and future hopes. Even the unnotched protractor and ruler brought a smile of fondness. The early September weather was distinctively special. We knew that the mist would clear and let the sun blaze down on us. Just as we knew that the autumn term was a new start that could be the beginning of something amazing.
The Lost Diary. I know reading someone else's diary is wrong, but in this case, what was the alternative? I felt the tense, shifty-looking man brush past me as he made his way to the exit door on the train. I sat down on the seat he had just vacated. Suddenly, I felt my foot slip on something. On the floor lay a small black leather diary. But it was too late to call the man, as he had disappeared from the train, platform, and now well out of sight. I opened the little book, hoping there may be at least a telephone number of the owner. The only thing wrote on the first page was, "Absolutely private and confidential." Should I turn the page? If I didn't turn more pages, how else could I possibly find out who owned it? But there again, it felt as though the contents were only meant for one person, the owner. Could it be that the stranger was involved in something sinister and I was meant to find it, to let certain people know? Was I being nosy? Yes, I believe I was. But going by the look of the character, my mind was running wild. All of a sudden, I felt a tap on my shoulder. "Thank you for finding my diary," said the priest, stood by my side. So, lesson learnt, never judge a book by its cover.
I was in Arkansas last year and I got talking to Walt at a Labour Day barbecue. Walt was a farmer. I guess he was about 70 years old. Out of nowhere he said, "I'll say one thing for them there jihadists." Well, my friend Sam, he calls them jihaders or whatever anyway. Seems to me them boys, they got it made. They win a battle and they're all heroes of Islam. Die fighting, you go straight to heaven. They get a bowl of fruit and 72 virgins. Hell, Sam's Uncle Bart, he was on Omaha Beach. He'd have given his right arm for a bath after 6 days there. Come to think of it, he did give his right arm, but that was later in Berlin. Anyway, I got to thinking, you know, why 72 virgins? I mean, what's a fella going to do with all them girls? And where do they all come from? I mean, you know, and if a lot of guys all die on one day, well, will there be enough girls to go around? Because, you know, hell, not like you can run down to Walmart, you know, and stock up. You know, Sam's wife, Hetty, she asked if the girls had a choice and did they get to pick? And hell, if I know, Sam said, I mean, what do I know about virgins? I asked Uncle Bart about the Germans. He said, yeah, they were okay. I mean, just shouldn't have listened to that there Adolf. I mean, before he came along, he said, you know, along that country, well, I had a whole heap of music men and scientists and philosophers. I suggested, yeah, them there folks. Walt thought for a moment. See, I'm damned if I know what these there jihadists, what they got to offer us. I mean, a cure for cancer, that would be good. And you ain't going to get that just by praying 5 times a day. I mean, even our crazy preachers ain't that stupid. Seems to me the sooner that oil there runs out, the better. I mean, maybe then they'll have to start working for a living. If the oil runs out, I said, you won't be running your fancy pickup truck. Hell, he said, I can still ride a horse.
Sunny weather by the sea, sand and rock pools invite me. Look for limpets, shrimps and snails, silvery fish with flashing tails. I could trawl the pools all day, or trail the driftwood across the bay. Build a fire just for fun, because there is a burning sun. We could grill the fish we fished. Could there be a better dish? Fishy, salty, sunny day on my Plockton holiday.
A very short story. Isabel. The great orphaness was back. Hunched up on the window seat, Isabel gave in to the waves of rage and misery that she had managed to hold back until she reached the top of the stairs. She heard the car's engine start up, and rubbing frantically at the misted glass, she could just see Daddy's face as the car turned into the road. When he came back, Anna would be with him. One day, not all that long ago, when she was just Miss Blake, Daddy's secretary who sometimes came to tea, Anna had suddenly said, "You know, Isabel, I'd really like it if you started to call me Anna instead of Miss Blake. What do you think?" Daddy had done his special funny face at Isabel, so of course she'd said yes, and could she start now? They'd all laughed, and Isabel had called her Anna ever since, and been happy. But this afternoon, when she was downstairs colouring the dragon poster, Daddy had come in and knelt down on the floor beside her. She was busy doing the dragon's bright green tail when he said it, and at first she hadn't understood. So he said it again, that she, Anna, was going to come and live with them, here, in this house. "It'll be fine, Belle, you'll see. You like her, you know you do, and she really likes you." But Isabel didn't like Anna, not anymore, and she said so. But it was no use. Daddy didn't seem to see that Anna coming for walks and staying for meals with them, well, that was all right. But her thinking she could be here all the time, that was horrible. Anna was horrible. Isabel had felt the great awfulness before, but that was when she was only 5. She couldn't remember all that had happened, only that it had felt just like this. That person had wanted to come and live here too. Of course, it wasn't Daddy's fault. He was kind to people, and they got it all wrong. I thought they could come and stay, perhaps forever. Well, Isabel screwed her eyes up tight so no more tears could get out. She was almost 9 now, Daddy's big girl. If he couldn't stop this happening, she would find a way to do it. Again.
Fantastic cars and fantastic people on it.